Hi, Tracy Lewis from Stuff and Things. I want to show you a new embossing folder that Stampin' Up came out with that I noticed in the catalog. It's hard to tell what it does, and I was watching a video where the demonstrator explained this is the subtle texture and what it looks like, and I thought, oh my goodness, that is very cool. So the texture is similar to kind of a linen-y texture that you can get with the Holtz paper pads, coordinations I think is what they're called, or basil. And I went online and checked prices of basil and compared to the prices of Stampin' Up colors, and they're very comparable. But what I like is that with this texturing embossing folder that looks like this, and you can see the linen, you can take a smooth cardstock and make it textured without actually having to inventory multiple types of cardstock, and this allows you to get the Stampin' Up colors. So what I did as an experiment was tested 3 different ways of preparing the cardstock to see which one returned the best texture. So the first one I did was dry. So this is dry, just using the mats that I have, or the pads that I have. And the texture is there, but it's not really crisp. So then the second one I did, which is a trick that is used often, is spritzing the cardstock. And the spritzing did provide a little deeper texture. So then the third option was I took just one of the 80-pound weight cardstocks and used that as a shim, and I left the paper dry, and this is what it ends up like. It actually has the crispest look. I like it and think that this is really going to be fun to do some textured cards. You know, people probably in the past, if they really like the texture, they would just use those other brands, but this allows you to actually get the guaranteed Stampin' Up colors in the texture without having to do a bootleg matchup. Then I did some colored. This is a horizontally done one, and this is Balmy Blue with the 80-pound shim again. And here's the comparison between the two with the smooth and the texture. Here is another color, Mossy Meadow. Here's the solid, the smooth, and this is the one with the linen texture, again with the 80-pound shim. And each side is a little different. This is the back side. It's got more knobs on it, and the front side, as I would call it, is more vertical linen lines. So next I will do a project using smooth as a background layer and then a texture with the background layer, and I will come back and show you guys what that looks like. Alright, I'm back. I have used the Mossy Meadow and the Balmy Blue and tried to keep the design somewhat simple, and I'm going to show you the close-up of the difference between the two. My light, I'm going to adjust my light so that it's up higher since I want to get close. Oh, I could also zoom in. Alright, so the comparison between the textured cardstock and the plain cardstock. And there's the subtle. I chose to use the shim to get the deepest texture. You can always, you know, everybody's big shot is different, and experiment with the varying textures. And then you can just see the smooth versus the texture. I'm trying not to offer an opinion because everybody is going to be different in how they feel, whether the subtle embossing folder is a must-have or a nice-to-have. For me, because I do have certain types of projects that I love to have on the textured paper, it was an immediate must-have. Once I discovered what it is, in the catalog, you cannot tell what the texture looks like. So there's the subtle in the balmy blue. And then there's the difference between the smooth and the texture. And hopefully this experiment will give you enough ammunition to decide if the embossing folder is something that you need. Hopefully that was enough that you could see the difference between the two. I'm going to zoom back out now. I'll talk for just a quick second on the Graceful Glass. This is the vellum that you color using the blends, and I have done an extensive video on what I have found with using the blends and how they work on the vellum. In this case, I actually colored on the back of both of these and did not do anything special. I used the bullet nib in small circles for all of the colors. The dark olive I put 2 coats on, same with the little bit of the peach color in the middle. That's Calypso Coral. And I did 2 coats on the Calypso Coral dark. On the rich razzleberry here, it actually is light, then dark, and then 2 coats of dark to get the 3 tones. This particular one, or 2 I guess, the technique I used was coloring on the front. The blue still was streaky, so I used my dab off using the paper towel technique to get a little bit more of an even coat. I like both techniques. I think working on the back allows you to be a little bit faster and not as particular with how you put the ink down, so it's a little bit more forgiving and a little less frustrating, I think. Alright, that concludes the subtle test versus smooth, and I hope you find this helpful in your deciding what products will work for you. Thanks for watching.